Привit and hola. Hi, guys. Welcome to Six Quantum Bridge podcast. This is your host, analyst, and researcher, Bernadette. You are listening to a 2025 Spotify Marathon Show, Most Shared Show, and Rising Star Show podcast, and you're about to find out why. Let's talk about finagling numbers, okay? Now, it's no secret how I feel about modern feminism. I want no parts of it, especially if the ones that are trying to recruit are doing such a disservice to their fellow women just by their hatred of men. They forget about the people that are being lost in the legal process. So let's talk numbers. You see, I went down the rabbit hole with this before I got on here and started speaking about it because that 2% seemed a little sketchy to me. This woman got on Threads and basically said something along the lines of, and I'm ad-libbing here, I'm paraphrasing, quote, rape needs to have the death penalty, or rape needs to result in the death penalty for the perpetrators. Something along those lines, okay? And this person that said it is one called patriarchies _ nightmare, something like that, okay? If you ask me, it's such a bite off of Karmic's worst nightmare, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to split hairs here, but whatever. And if you know me from my work, you know me as Karmic's worst nightmare. But whatever. Again, we're not going to split hairs here. Let's talk numbers. 2%. Somebody in her comments had basically checked her work and said that the number of unfounded cases are a big number. I forget what the number was. I should have taken that portion of the screenshot. But she responded with saying that it was 2% of cases that were found to be falsified. And she said only because they got better at deleting or erasing the evidence. Say what? What she didn't tell her followers is that her statistics were from 1975. Oh, yes. Are we in 1975 right now, guys? Last time I checked, nobody's walking around with bell bottoms and hobo purses and fringe leather jackets or fringe suede jackets. Nobody's doing that. Last time I checked, we're not in 1975 anymore. We're in 2026. So shouldn't your statistics reflect that? Very interesting. Let's get to the real statistics, shall we? Let's talk about this 2 to 10% minimum because the actual numbers are more 2 to 10%, but what she was trying to pass it off as is that even if it was 2%, that it's insignificant, that those thousands of men that have had their lives decimated because of a false accusation, it's not important, right? Because her blind hatred of men and misandry has clouded her judgment to the fact that what if it was her brother, her father, her uncle, a male cousin? What if it was one of them that were falsely accused of assaulting a woman? Does it change automatically because it's family? Oh, because you don't know the man, automatically he's at fault because he has a penis. Without any kind of due process, right? Okay, gotcha. The most rigorous research ladies and gentlemen, including data referenced by the NSVRC and EVAWI, puts the rate of proven false reports between 2 and 10%. But here's the kicker. That is considered the minimum rate. We don't know how bigger those numbers are. The unfounded gap, let's talk about that for a moment. Large-scale analyses of criminal allegations show that approximately 1 in 3, or 33%, are classified as unfounded. In college campus settings, that number can jump as high as 40 to 50%. So, a little bit about this 2% origin myth. Forensic experts have found that the 2% false rape complaint thesis has no evidentiary basis in any published study. And we've looked. It reportedly originated from a single judicial speech over 50 years ago. So that leads to an unknown maximum, because many cases are closed due to quote-unquote lack of evidence or quote-unquote uncertainty. The true maximum rate of false claims remains unknown. As I said a moment ago, this leads to an erasure of due process because of this woman's selective persecution. By saying they just erased evidence better, quote unquote, she is trying to bypass the social contract where innocent until proven guilty is the only thing keeping society from collapsing. Using a fake 2% stat to justify the 98% chance of ruining an innocent man's life is the definition of finagling with the law, friend. Let's talk about this victimhood monopoly. Real victims are the ones who suffer most. In addition to the men's life that you destroy, you also destroy the lives of women. The ones that you're trying to protect, that you're trying to have a voice for, you're hurting the fellow women as well. Because when theatrical stats are pushed, because it creates a chilling effect and makes law enforcement less likely to take legitimate reports seriously. And then you wonder why nothing is being done about this. It's your fault, lady. It's your fault. It's your fault for making a false report in the first place. It's your fault. It's your blood on your it's their blood on your hands. You see, while rape is a horrific crime, as it is, okay, I was nearly assaulted myself, and this is coming from somebody that knows what that fear is all about, okay? It's often underreported. Only about 37% of cases reach the police. The answer isn't to start a witch hunt based on fake statistics. A sovereign woman demands justice for everyone, not just the loudest people. Now, I have a true story for you here. Let's talk about the case of Brian Banks. He was a high school football star with a full ride to USC. But a false accusation cost him 6 years in prison and 5 years on parole. It wasn't until the accuser admitted she lied on a secret recording that he got his life back. but his NFL prime was gone. He was born with the talent to play football and a fucking salty fucking woman. I don't know what her problem was. And notice the common denominator here, ladies and gentlemen. With these false accusations, it's always them falsely accusing somebody that has potential to make a lot of money, to be an NFL star. Look at that. Common denominator here. It makes your intent look very, very greedy. In Brian's case, the evidence was a total fabrication that the system bought into because of the exact trauma frequency that I've been auditing. According to the National Registry of Exonerations, yes, there's such a thing. Forensically, since 1989, there have been thousands of exonerations in the U.S., and a significant percentage of those involve perjury or false accusation. This is the real math that people like patriarchy's _nightmare don't want to talk about. You're hurting women. By your hatred of men, you're hurting women. What is the cost of your lying? You're a false, fake-ass feminist if you do this, and if you agree with this, and if you support this. Every time a woman finagles a false report to get revenge on a man, or to hurt a man that maybe he didn't want her, she pushed up on him and he didn't want her, or I don't know what the thing was that made her want to get revenge. She is siphoning the credibility of real victims and the future of an innocent man. So even if you don't give a fuck about men, even if you hate men with a fucking passion, think about the women you're hurting. Forget about the man, fine. You don't like men, fine. Don't like men then. But it's your responsibility as a citizen of the United States to not do this, because even if you don't give a fuck about the man, don't you give a fuck about the women you're hurting in the process? Think. Let's talk about the medical forensics here. In DNA negative cases, right? A significant portion of sexual assault forensic exams are safe, often called rape kits. No suspect DNA is recovered from the victim. Now, granted, while a lack of DNA doesn't always mean an assault didn't happen due to timing or barriers, when a person describes a specific encounter and the lab comes back with 0 genetic markers, that is a massive forensic glitch. All the bells and whistles start to go off. What's going on here? Forensics, especially compared to from 2026 to her numbers that she was talking about in 1975, an ancient number. I wouldn't say ancient, but old enough for that it's outdated. Forensics can tell the difference between a clean scene and one where someone is trying to finagle a narrative. If she claims something happened, but doesn't have a single skin cell or hair sample or anything to back it up, the jurisdictional claim falls apart. DNA is the ultimate evidence. When a woman makes an accusation, but the medical forensics are negative, and she continues to push the story, she is engaging in biological bankruptcy. See, this is where the logic of people like patriarchies_nightmare fails. They want us to, quote, believe all women, regardless of the DNA, which is essentially asking us to ignore the laws of the physical world in favor of a narrative they're pushing for whatever agenda that woman has against the man. Now, let's get to some more numbers. Since people like her want to throw out numbers, let's throw out numbers here. And you can verify my numbers. The zero DNA gap. The National Institute of Justice, or NIJ, data shows that in tested sexual assault kits, DNA profiles of sufficient quality for the national database, or CODIS, are obtained in only about 38% of cases. In a study of over 7,200 kits across major cities, LA, Detroit, Houston, over 60% of kits yielded no usable suspect DNA profile. Now, again, granted, while lack of DNA doesn't always equal a lie, a claim of a struggle with zero medical evidence is a massive biological glitch that the 2% crowd tries to ignore. Again, forensic experts have found that the 2% false report number has no basis in any modern peer-reviewed study. It reportedly comes from a single judge's speech from the 1970s. Look it up, guys. Modern criminological data from the DOJ and FBI puts the provable false accusation rate between 2 and 10%. So let's do a review of this. When you include cases labeled as unfounded by police, the numbers shift significantly. In some high-stakes environments like college campuses, cases dismissed for lack of evidence or reliability can reach 33 to 45%. Again, let's not forget Mr. Brian Banks. That woman that falsely accused him took his whole career away. He had a full ride to USC, and she wanted to get him, quote unquote. And because of this believe all women, he lost his scholarship, lost his career. And not to mention, he had to fight for his life in prison, I'm sure. There should be some kind of justice. Because what that woman essentially did is take that man's life away. So the woman gets to walk away scot-free. What happens to her? I feel she should be in jail for the rest of her life. Never see the light of day ever again. Because you didn't only hurt that man, but you added on to the number, the percentage rate that we covered earlier in this episode of women that are not going to be believed now because of your bitch ass. Women like that are scum. They are the lowest of the low. And if you defend that, you are even lower. If you support that because of believe all women, you are even lower. It took a secret recording of the accuser admitting she lied for him to get his life back in 2012. So this is fairly recent. Modern feminism that ignores these stats is identity laundering. It uses the pain of real victims to launder a license to ruin men's lives. And even as I say that, I can hear people that will be hate listening to this episode to say, fuck men. Well then, what do you want to do? Live on an island with all women? Go ahead and do that. I advocate for that. Put all your fucking asses on a fucking island where there's no men. But then you don't get anything that the men made. No technology, no nothing. Anything that they made, y'all have to fend for yourselves. Let's see how long you last, being that women are naturally competitive with one another. Let's see how long y'all fucking last, because they ain't going to be like Themyscira. Let's see how long y'all last. You would never last if we took away everything that the men made, invented, created to make your lives easier. Technology, you won't be able to post on social media. Go ahead. Live on an island with no men and see how well you fare. It gets tiring, ladies and gentlemen, to be the fire starter here. It's really tiring. It's tiring to be it seems to be the only one with the eyeballs and the ear holes. It's really tiring being the only one that sees the truth. Again, really think about this, guys, because it's not just men that you're ruining the lives of. It's the women too. We got to do better. Until next time, stay grounded, stay above it all, stay discerning, and stay in your lane. Please follow for more, and follow me on my other podcast, my sister podcast, the Psychic Splinter podcast. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for giving me your time and letting me be part of your day. Thank you to all of my current and new subscribers. Thank you for all of you that have put me up there in the numbers. I really appreciate you guys. The statistics, the analytics that I've seen, I'm very, very humbled. I'm so happy that you like my content. Wow. I love you guys, and it's all over the world. It's not just here in the States. You guys really like my content, and I appreciate it. Shout out to Singapore, shout out to Russia, shout out to Qatar, shout out to Russia, to Poland, to India, everywhere. Just all of you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I intend to be here for a long time. Take care, you guys. I love you very much. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug. Until next time.